There comes a time to where I just gotta straight up say, I love how direct this show is just being with itself. Not even the audience, but with the characters. We go back to last week's episode, which I missed, and really just some comedic things, and towards the end we got some more serious things, like the romantic undertone with Hori talking about and we're discussing how she would be sad if Miyamura didn't come over. The straightforwardness. I was like, wow, okay, so this is gonna be pretty straightforward. And it actually reminds me of another great show known as Bunny Girl Senpai, which is absolutely phenomenal. And let's just be honest, it took the anime community by storm, especially the romance side of the community. And we look at what it did and how it's so straightforward. It came with such maturity. And I think that's exactly what Horimiya is doing. It's very similar. One, I was impressed with how well I love the cast already without even truly knowing them. And now that I'm getting to know them one by one, I am liking it even more because it just seems like a very sound show. It just feels like it's been thought through and it was put together not just whenever, as the writer was writing it, but prior. Like these were thought processes. This was scripted out. He knew what he wanted this manga to be, which I do believe it's a manga, not a light novel. But clearly the author knew what he wanted to do. And I love this because, there's so much realism within anime, right? It's an animation. It looks even faker than live action, right? But yet all these authors come with real life experiences. Where do you think these things derive from? And I was watching this episode and we got to like the I love you scene where they both just straightforwardly confess, like, I love you and I love you too. And I thought it was cool with the whole hand gesture where she was kind of kidding, like, I love your hands. But then instead of being cliche and doing something stupid like that per se, and I'm not hating on every show that does that, but nonetheless, it is refreshing. And I feel like as if it's so unique because this doesn't happen, it happens so little at the time. We get this direct and this kind of maturity, I guess, in a show, especially a romance. And the thing with that scene was, why I loved it so much was, yes, they played it off, but then at the same time, you hear him say, okay, I love your hands too. And then he just says, I love you. And she's like, yeah, I heard you. And he's just saying it back to her, right, because he heard her too. So I kind of love the whole little wordplay there and what was going on. And it's just cool to see them be so direct. This is episode 3. And I do want that romance on camera. And the reason why I do want that romance on camera is because I love the interaction of the characters so far, and I want to know the characters more. We saw that Miyamura, was someone who, no wonder why he didn't think Hori really liked him. He's someone who was always isolated. People thought he was weird. They thought he was gloomy, but that's only because sometimes our very first interaction can kind of set up what our future interactions will be, and through those future interactions, it's kind of like a snowball effect. Well, if you act a certain way and come off gloomy and sad, maybe you're going to build that reputation. People are going to feed off that. The person that's making the dumbass comment that they think you don't hear, you hear, and so then you kind of get this mindset, right? Because how are you not? If they're whispering about it, what are they saying when they know you're just simply not in, your ears range to hear them, period? What are they saying behind closed doors, right? And it demonstrates why he did really feel that way about Hori. And it demonstrates why Hori felt as if she was so emotional and upset because she truly does care about him, obviously. She loves him. And it's cool to see how all this is coming together. Now, my question is, where's this going to go? Once Ishikawa does fully find out. Like, he knows, he gets it, but is he going to find out that Miyamura is known? I mean, Miyamura did lie to him. They said, I love you to each other already. He knows that. Miyamura did that in order to protect Ishikawa's feelings. But sometimes, if a week goes by or 2 weeks and they just straight up start dating, I mean, they said, I love you. I mean, how much more can you get closer to dating? After you say you love someone, I think that was the scene, right? I mean, at least I'm pretty sure. I'll wait and see for the future episodes. But that was probably the scene. I mean, unless there's something else they want to do before it's official. Maybe they want to do it with a kiss. I don't know. But that's as official to me as you can really kind of get. So how will Ishikawa act? How will he be envious? Will he be jealous? Will he be hurt? Sure, he already was hurt. You could tell by his facial expressions whenever he's kind of listening, right? It did the whole him behind the wall thing, hiding behind the wall thing, because he didn't want to interrupt the conversation, and he because he kind of walked into it. Then he stuck behind the wall. It's just kind of like, I can't peel my ears away. I can't stop listening. Like some of us most definitely would in real life, because this is such an emotional attachment I have. Now, obviously, we know Ishikawa's a good person deep down at his core. But love makes you blind, and love can make you do crazy things. And he was the person that loved her first, and now they're part of a friend group where he's one of the two guys, him and Miyamura, and they have two other girls, and both of them had the same love interests, but only one of them's getting that love reciprocated. I think some of us have been there. I think some of us have had friends, and I think everyone's maybe been there, at least to a certain, a certain point, right? Maybe you like someone, you don't necessarily love them, or you're into someone, and someone else has got the girl that was your friend, and you just kind of like are bent out of shape, and you don't know really how to think or feel. Maybe you get pissed, right? Your sadness turns into frustration, and you just kind of push that person away or distance yourself for a while until you're comfortable again. Maybe you don't know how to fit back into that. Maybe it just ruins the wavelength, and everyone's wondering why you're being weird, but you can't say because it only add to the issue. That stuff happens, and I know some of you watching this video have probably been there. I've been in similar situations to where it's especially going to a smaller school. I mean, it's touch and go. I mean, it's tough. You got to be careful. I mean, as much as love is a beautiful thing, it is also a dangerous one. I think we all can admit that. I mean, looking at other things, though, I wonder where this is going to go now. What episodes 4 and 5 are crucial to me, but 4 specifically, because this is going to determine where this first season is probably going to go for the rest of the way, for the most part. I mean, it's definitely going to be a tone setter, for sure, because I think this is 12 episodes, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me, because I haven't seen what the final count is for this. I'm just changing some on here, but I haven't seen what the final episode count is for this. I haven't looked, but that's tough. And I get it, I understand it, but I do want to hop on back to the Miyamura thing, to where he was being isolated, people weren't giving him a fair chance, and thinking he was dark and gloomy. I love the scene where Hori comes up to him, and she's like, people are saying she's straightforward as hell. People are saying you're dark and gloomy, and so that's why I came up and talked to you. And she's just straightforward, like, nah, you're not dark and gloomy, you're completely normal. And that's what I went back to. Whenever you get sometimes the first encounter of someone, especially if you're growing up with people, they can paint a picture of you because it's an odd encounter, because you were awkward, because you were nervous, because you were shy, or maybe because you do speak in a different kind of tone. And the fact of the matter is, if you get that snowball effect, and it's a chain reaction, and it's that way from elementary to grade school to high school, guess what? If people already have that projection of you, and I've already painted that picture, then you're never going to get a fair chance, right? You're never, ever going to get a fair fight in this battle of you trying to demonstrate who you really are and being a normal person, because no one's giving you a chance, and no one's talking to you because they already have a preconjured thought about who you are, and they distance themselves, or they're not interested. And I've seen it. I mean, there's some people that I've thought were odd, but once you get to talking to them, they're not odd at all. Maybe they have some odd qualities on the outside, but once you kind of start to talk to them and you kind of see what's internally in them and who they really are at the core, they're totally different than what they seem to be on the surface level. That happens, and it's tough, and it sucks, and it's not fair, and all these kind of things. And I think that's something that other people can relate to too. I think that's totally something people can relate to. But I mean, that's why you don't always judge a book by its cover. But sometimes it's hard to not judge a book by its cover whenever the title comes off weird. The title on the cover comes off weird anyways. But hey, that's why you watch certain animes that you thought were odd, and all of a sudden you're like, this is awesome. That's why you read a certain book, you're like, I don't know about that title, I don't think I'd like it, and then it's awesome. You don't know what anything is until you really kind of dive into it. So, but a couple things from last episode, the missing paper thing, who cares? I love the music in that scene, by the way. I love the music for all of this. The opening's awesome. The music just seems kind of unique to me, but it seems absolutely phenomenal. But I do need to peek back down my notes, since I did not watch this episode today. I watched it the other day. But I did also like the scene to where Ishikawa's just kind of like, whenever Hori mentions Miyamura or asking where he is, he's like, oh, my broken heart. And he's like, it's still mending or whatever, and takes off sprinting. Absolutely hilarious. The comedy is so like subtle and just kind of, just lightly inserts itself within the story, and it's cool because it doesn't feel forced. It just seems so natural to the characters, and since it does it so kind of like subtly in a way, and so kind of like smooth and doesn't feel forced, it really helps to kind of elevate the characters, because it's just kind of like, you're not forcing me to like this character or forcing me to understand this character's personality. You're just kind of allowing yourself to freely, their personalities to freely flow. And it's just kind of like someone who really wants a friend, and they're kind of like force a friendship on you. You know what I'm talking about? Rather than someone who's just kind of like casually come up to you and the chemistry is natural and they're just kind of like not forcing anything. They're just being themselves. And I just kind of feel like that's what the characters are being. They're being themselves. They're not forcing their personalities on the audience. And I really like that. I think that's cool. And that's how things should be. That's how the best characters will always be made. But other than that, though, I do believe I covered everything that I truly wanted to cover. I mean, yeah. I mean, other than that, it's cool to see Hori say, no, Miyamura is mine. Like, you can't have him. Not now, not ever. And super direct. I love it. It reminds me of Bunny Girl Senpai. Episode 3 is whenever, Mai and Sakuda got together, too, as well. So let's see where it goes. Because whenever you do things like this, and it's just still way too unsaturated, you get characters together early, you're allowing us to explore things we never get to explore otherwise. I mean, look, Naruto, Hinata get together at the end, but how much have we really gotten to see of their relationship? That's just an example of they waited to the end to do things. I mean, so many shows out there wait till characters get to the end, and we don't get to see what that relationship that we've been wanting to see, that we've been agonizing painfully, waiting to see, and ripping out our teeth to see because they've been beating around the bush so much during the show. Well, yeah, we get to see them get together, and we're like, yeah, but we never really truly get to get rewarded for it because we never get to see what that relationship really is, what that interaction is between the two characters that were shy about that emotion, and now they're straightforward and confronting each other with that emotion. We never get to see what that is. I mean, yeah, that's about it. But other than that, though, guys, I will see you guys next time. You guys have been Hex. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, X25. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.